Welcome to Amra's Armchair Anecdotes, and today I'm talking about how to market your book. So it's how to sell your book without selling your soul. So just some practical tips about how do you go from the book idea to long tail sales. There are some tips here that will be helpful whether you're an indie author or whether you are traditionally published. First, I'm going to start with something that's more relevant to indie authors, which is when you are first preparing your book to be published, the first thing that you need to do is prepare the metadata. So that is like the title, the descriptions, the ISBN, all of the things that you will need to upload your book onto retail platforms. So to do that, oh my gosh. Welcome to Amra's Armchair Anecdotes. And today I'm talking about how to market your book without selling your soul. So there will be tips here that are relevant for indie authors as well as traditionally published authors. And I'm just sort of going to take you through all the things that you need to think about before publication and then the launch and post-launch. So first of all, I just want to talk about what is marketing. So marketing is about connecting your story with readers who need it most. So you think about it as storytelling. You're just telling a story in a different format. And it's something about, don't try to be everywhere, be where your readers are. I found that definition really helpful in terms of thinking about it, about connecting with readers and about sharing my story and sharing news of my book and sharing all the different things that I've been doing. And that helped me to figure out how to market and to not view it as something really daunting, but just if you focus on it being sharing and joy, I find that it makes it easier, and I found things about it that I really love doing. Before I start talking about the big marketing, I wanted to talk about metadata. So this is more relevant for indie authors. And the metadata is all of the information that goes into your book. So it's the things that we see, like the title and the cover, but it's also the things that we don't see. So when we're uploading information about our books to retailers, it's where we categorize them. It's the keywords that we list so that if people are searching for a book and they use those keywords, they find our book. And so I'm going to share on my website and within my show notes a template of a metadata template. So it's an Excel spreadsheet that when you are an indie author, you basically use to prepare all your information about the book before you published. So you obviously need to have the title, and then you have 3 different descriptions. You have a short description, which is one sentence, a medium description, which is a few sentences, and then your full blurb. Now you need all these different descriptions because when you are entering your metadata on the different retail platforms or when you are marketing your book on social media, you need the variety of descriptions that you can use. Then you need to think about the keywords that you're going to use. And so for that you buy Rocket Publisher and you research which category your book should be placed in and the keywords that should be used. And this spreadsheet that I've got is really helpful because it's about putting all of the links that you need as you are promoting your book. So it's, linking all of your sales pages, your book funnel, landing page, reviews, etc. And so I find this really invaluable for preparing my book for launch, and then also for having the one place where I've got everything, where I can just click on things. I can click on, if I'm looking for the retail link, I want a nice shortcut for that. I've got everything listed. And that's the one thing that is sort of invisible, that is in the background, but that is really important because if you set up your metadata correctly and you fill out all of the information that is requested on retail platforms and the different platforms that we use to get a book to publication, all of that links together and all of that sort of works together to market your book. Because then if you have the one ISBN for your ebook and you publish it on the 6 different retail platforms, all of those retail platforms will be linked because you're using the one ISBN. So it's just something that's really important in terms of preparing your book. And the other reason that it's important to have that spreadsheet is you want to copy things across. You don't want to be typing things in and possibly making mistakes. And so it's about preparing everything and also making the publication process easier and quicker. So I will link that to the show notes. So when we're talking about marketing, we're talking about the core content. So your first thing is your marketing hook, which is the blurb of your book. So you're thinking about your title. Sorry, this is the first marketing hook. It must speak to the genre and evoke emotions. You can test options with your newsletter or social media followers. It's really important that it's not too generic. My first debut novel, The Good Daughter, was published, and then very soon after that, Karen Slaughter also published The Good Daughter, which was a crime novel. And I had all these people going, I saw your book here, I saw your book there. It wasn't my book. It was Karen Slaughter's book. And since then, I've Googled, and there's so many titles of The Good Daughter. Another thing is titles are not copyright. You can have the same title. The only issue is you do not want to have them in the same genre, and ideally not to be published too close together, like my book was with Karen Slaughter's book, where then it causes that confusion. I would really recommend that you Google the titles and check retail platforms and see if there's a similar title, so that you've got that unique feature. And then the second thing that's really important is your blurb. So, the blurb is the back of the book on a paperback. It's the description that people are looking at to think about, is this the book that appeals to them? So you need to include the emotional stakes and the reader promise. As I said earlier, you need to have the various versions, the one sentence, the few sentences, the full blurb, to use for all your different metadata and for your market copy. And there are online tools that will help you. So there's a tool with Author Media that I will link to in the show notes that you can look at. They have a blurb writing tool. What I do is I look at books in my genre. I use them as a model. So I copy the different blurbs. When I was working on this latest book, which is a historical mystery novel, I was copying different books in that genre. I was looking at how the blurbs were constructed. I was then writing my blurbs sort of using that as a model. You can also use generative AI to help improve your blurb. So when you sort of have something that you think is at a good point, you can put it through ChatGPT and get it to improve and give you sort of different options. And I find that it really helps with those emotive words and just really making those snappy sentences jump. The other part of marketing that's really important is your cover. So when you are designing your cover, it's really important that you meet the genre expectations. Now, some writers might think that this is the time to stand out and to do a different cover, and that's really not the thing that you should be doing. You need to research what is popular in your genre, research how those covers are designed, and you need to then create something that meets those genre expectations. When you're thinking about the cover, remember, a lot of people are looking at it in terms of thumbnails, and we do have visual cues that tell us what sort of a genre it is and what they should expect. And so that is part of short-circuiting that quick decision-making process for readers who are looking for a book. And at the end of the day, you don't want the wrong reader who doesn't like your book or your genre to give you a negative review. So it's not about enticing people for the sake of enticing it. You want the readers who will enjoy your book. You don't want people who are, hate crime thrillers or gritty crime thrillers picking up your crime thriller and being like, oh no, I thought this was, a romance. That will not help you. So when I am looking at covers, I research and I create a Pinterest board and I collect all these different covers and I look at what are the similarities to use. Make sure it looks good on a thumbnail, so your covers are going to be really small that people will initially see. And you can design your own covers and you can use photos, but you need to buy a royalty-free image from either Deposit Photos or another source. You can use Canva to create images and use them to publish, and it's covered in the terms and conditions. And they also have templates that can really help you with that initial design process to come up with your cover. Some fonts, if you are using fonts that are online, you need to also make sure that they might be copyright and you might need to buy them and have the licensing to use them, so be careful with that too. If you are an indie author, it might be helpful to write a contract for yourself as the designer, and including that you've got the image licensing rights. Every once in a while there are retail platforms who request to see that you've got it. So if you were, for example, getting a designer to do it, they would write up a contract and they would include in that the licensing rights that they got for that cover. You can also get it generated by a cover designer, or you can buy pre-made covers. There are some options that are easy to buy. It just if you need them adjusted for the different covers, different size covers, you also need to pay extra. So we've now got our metadata, we've got the title, we've got the cover, we've got the blurb, and now we're looking at the media release and the publication promotion. So when you are doing a media release, you want to write two versions, one for general media and one for genre-specific outlets. And you want to create a press kit and for this to be available on your website. So it needs to have an image, author photo, bio, and links. And ideally what you want to do is reference that in your media kit and not have journalists who might be wanting to write about your book trying to contact you to get an author photo, trying to contact you to get a cover of your book. All of this information should ideally be available to them because sometimes they have quick deadlines where they're wanting to just get something done quickly. The other reason that you want to have a media release and you want to write it so that you've got some quotes of yourself speaking is a lot of journalists will use that media release if they are going to write about a book and actually use that to write an article about it. So you're trying to provide that information to make that easier. These should be on your website and easily accessible. You don't want them hidden behind a paywall. You don't want them, where they have to download some sort of software to get to. They should just be able to click it and download it. The best website, the best advice in terms of promoting your book and also helping with search engine optimization and now a new type of optimization, which is generative engine optimization, is that you should have a book page for each of your books. So on your website you should actually have a dedicated page just to your book, and on there you should have all of the information about your book. Ideally have some question and answers, have a word media kit that journalists can download and copy from, but also just have it on your website that it's available. Have the purchase links and also have graphics that they can download. Another important thing is to create universal purchase links. So that one link that people can use and they click on, and then that will take them to whatever retailer that they want to do. Now you can do this even if you're not an indie author. I did this for my traditionally published books using draft to digital tools and created a book link and then uploaded all of the different purchase links. There's another one called Genius Links that people also use. The draft to digital ones are for free. I believe the Genius ones you have to pay. The Genius ones have more options in terms of you can list, US, England, UK, like the different geographical locations. But I prefer the draft to digital because I want the free version. And you want to use this in all your social media promotion. You don't want to be providing one retail platform for them to go to. You want to be providing this one link that will take them to whatever retail platform that they want to. So at the very least, you want to send your media release to your local newspaper and to media outlets, and send hard copy reviews to outlets. So Are there organisations that you are aligned with, that you are a member of, that you can use to promote your book, to do giveaways, to get people to review, to write some sort of an article in their newsletter and, get eyeballs on your book and try and get some attention that way. So now we're going to be talking about social media marketing. And this is my favourite type of marketing. I really have gotten into social media and I love creating assets and graphics to promote my book. It's like my happy place. So it's really good to sort of, look at how can you create reels and quotes that promote your book. You want to have a 3-second hook, visuals and captions that grab immediately. Canva has audio that you can attach, so music, and you can also buy royalty-free music from different outlets. I've got Audio Hero, where I've got music that I can use for reels. So you can do things like where you do a quote of the day from your book, create tropes posts, where it's like, the different tropes that your book relates to. You can create carousels, like 5 things I learned while writing my book. I like looking at social media and seeing different ideas that people have and then creating a graphic, that is similar to that. And, schedule these regularly on your feed. I use the social media scheduler, and for each book I create 6 reels and I schedule them I think it turns out to be every 2 months, and so that way they've just got this regular rotation. Another important thing is create a hashtag for your book and a hashtag for your series, and use this in every post, and that way you're sort of creating that trail, and then if anyone clicks on the hashtag to your book, they'll see all these other posts, and if people are reviewing your book or if they're posting about your book, they'll be able to use that hashtag. So make that visible on your actual graphics so that people see that and sort of used as that shortcut signature. You can also do, book stock and Instagram ideas. So if you like this popular book, you'll love, your book, read a scene with me reels or behind the scenes writing process. So, do whatever, look at your book and come up with ideas for what might be a bait book. So for my historical book that's coming up, I've got some about, real life things. I've got, all these interesting and fun graphics that I've created. Like there's one that's Seika's advice to surviving in a war zone, because I just wanted to sort of have fun with it but also bring to life the reality of what it's like, what I'm trying to demonstrate with this book, which is survival under siege, survival in a war. Also use your Goodreads. Goodreads is really important in terms of your generative engine optimization. So that's basically, all the different AI engines that are using, that people are using, that are finding information about your book and that they might be recommending your book to people. So Goodreads is one of them that is really important. So connect your blog to your Goodreads. I did that, and then, I would just, whatever I posted on my blog would show up on my Goodreads, and then I started having people commenting on Goodreads about my posts, and I was like, oh, I always forget about that, but that is really important. That's another way to connect with people. There are also options to do question and answers on Goodreads, and so it's about engaging with people. There are groups and things on Goodreads. I haven't really used those much. You can do competitions where you do a giveaway of your book so that people add it to their to be read pile, and I have done that a few times. I didn't find it, really great in terms of getting reviews. I've heard from some people that it's better with the paperback perhaps, but it's something to think about. So I'm going to talk about pre-publicity and building the buzz early. How do you want to do that? So you need advanced readers in order to get early reviews. So some ways that you can do that is you can upload it on NetGalley. NetGalley is a platform that is used by, authors, indie authors, traditionally published authors, where different people go on and they review books. and it's highly valued. There is a high fee for it. If you are an indie author, you can find cheaper options. If you are a member of Alley, you can get a cheaper option through some affiliate links. You can put it on other things like Book Sirens, and there's other reviewing sites that people can do. You can also create your own advanced reader list. I have a Google form where people sign up that they want to review my books, and then I contact them and send them copies of the book. You can do a street team where you recruit superfans to hype your book pre-launch, and you offer incentives for them to do it. Then it's also, using newsletter teasers where you're sharing sneak peeks, cover reveals, and early chapters. I've also used a company, Love Book Tours, to have bloggers basically having, reviewing my book, and that led to a lot of reviews and a lot of sort of mentions on social media posts. I've decided that I'm just going to focus on NetGalley. I found that the best bang for my buck, where it got me the most reviews, and then those reviews showed up on Goodreads. And I'm using an affiliate link this time around, where I will get an email of the people who reviewed it on Goodreads, and I'll be able to send them an email asking to review it on Amazon for me. So when we're talking about, launch week publicity, you need to, have that media release blitz, your email send outs, emails to bloggers. If you're doing an event, organize a virtual launch party, collaborate with another author to co-host bookshop readings or writing festivals. If you are an indie author and you're wanting to organize bookshop events, I recommend that you have a bookshop that you are that's like your local bookshop that you go to regularly, that you get to know people. They will do it on consignment, which means they will buy copies of the book for you at 40% discount, and then they will sell them. And so that way you can, do that collaboration, but the onus is on you to do those things. So some other things that you can do in terms of promoting your book is you can do the paid promotions with Amazon, Facebook, Instagram ads, BookBub featured deals or ads. And then there's also retailer promotions with each of the different retailers. And this is why if you're an indie author, the advice is that you go direct with Barnes & Noble, with Kobo, because they have internal promotions that can help support your book. When you're looking at creating content for your book, it's important to create evergreen content, so things that relate to your book's themes, and that way they will always be relevant. I create quotes of my book, I do book reviews, and then I have those on rotation constantly, because whenever they pop up, they're just a reminder of people about my book and what someone said about it, or a quote about it, and that's evergreen. You can also do, podcast guest appearances, Pinterest graphics. I actually use a social media scheduler, and I post content on all social media. And so I do Reels to all of the platforms that support Reels, and then I do graphics posts to the other platforms. So some other things that you can think about in terms of marketing is, doing partnerships and collaborations, cross-promote with authors in your genre, bundle books for giveaway or newsletter swaps. So BookFunnel has many of these opportunities that support you in terms of doing those swaps and trying to create those readers. There are also opportunities to submit to awards and competitions and use these, wins and finalist spots in your promo. You can, do what I'm doing, which is create a podcast and a YouTube channel and share your journey and insights related to your book, and repurpose your podcast content into blog posts or short videos. And so there are actually apps that do that for you. So I use Snapcut, which cuts my long form videos into short reels, and then I schedule those to promote my podcast episodes. but it also sort of promotes me where they just pop up on a regular basis. Then there's all the fun things that I really like doing. So, merch and swag, stickers, bookmarks, mugs. You can do Patreon. I haven't really found that people buy those things. But when I did a book launch for my last book, Jessie's Triumph, I had my team who were my sellers wearing t-shirts that had the logo, and it just sort of created that aesthetic. And I'm going to do that again for my next book launch, where I will have t-shirts with my logo, Seka Tolak Mysteries, and so the people who are sort of my helpers and selling my books will be wearing those t-shirts. And so it'll be great for photos, but also good because they'll be recognisable in terms of the people that are there to, sell books and help things. I do a monthly newsletter also. I bought SendFox, and I found that I've always wanted to do that. I really struggled with, sending something every month. But now I really enjoy it. I really sort of enjoy connecting with my audience and having that as part of a regular conversation that I have with readers. And I am creating all this bonus content for my novels so that people have to sign up to the newsletter to get the bonus content, and in that way hopefully that will be an evergreen and ongoing opportunity for collecting subscribers and people who are following my writing journey and waiting for the next book, especially because this is a series. And so, it's really important to sort of think about this in terms of what's working. So, track the metrics if you are doing emails, if you are doing paid advertising, but, also remember to celebrate the small wins. Like every review that we get from a reader who enjoyed the book, that is a huge win. Like I get such a high when someone reads something that I've written, whether it's an article that I wrote or one of my books, and then they reach out, or they've attended a workshops and they reach out, connect with me. Like those things are just gold, because we're sitting in our room the rest of the time, and then when we have that opportunity to connect and we can hear from someone that we've connected, it means a lot. The other thing that I would really say is marketing and writing is a marathon, not a sprint. And so when we're writing and we're publishing, each book that we publish is another opportunity to market and to connect. And there are constantly ideas for what you can do and new opportunities about how you can share news of your book. And so I love keeping up with all those trends and finding out all these new and different ways of connecting with readers. And there are some fabulous things that indie authors in particular do, where there are Facebook groups also that exist that you can go in and you can promote your books in. You can also start your own Facebook group where readers come and join and have a conversation. There are people who do Patreon and then they offer extra rewards and support, and they have people paying for that. So there are so many ideas and opportunities. You just have to decide what works for you. What is it? What sort of a person are you? And what are the things that you work? But you also do need to challenge yourself sometimes and step outside of your comfort zone. When I initially started posting and creating graphics about my books, honestly, it was like those dreams, those dreams that you have where you're naked and you're out in society and people are looking at you weird. That's how it felt. And when I look at those first graphics, they're terrible. They are so terrible. But now I've, really practiced and developed an eye. I love experimenting with ideas and, fonts and images. I buy photos from Deposit Photos, so stock-free, royalty-free images that I use then in my promotion. Now there's all these exciting new things that you can do with AI, where you can actually animate images. that I just saw recently that I was like, oh my gosh. And then there's also software where you can create things. And so I think you can see it here. The things that I did for my Sassy Saints series is I created little collector cards of my characters using AI, and these are not commercially sold because I don't think that you should be selling things that you're creating with AI. But there's something that I offer with my book box where I offer extra merchandise and stuff for all 3 copies of the book. And so that's just something that I provide as an extra bonus, something that I really enjoyed creating and having fun with, and just fun ideas. There are people who also pay people to create character cards and stuff like that, but there are also people who are learning to use illustrating software or AI software to do those things. As Joanna Penn from the Creative Pen says, someone who I really admire, I am like her, AI positive, and I like experimenting and trying different things with AI to see what I can create and what I can do. And so I'm in that space. Some people might not be, but you decide what you want to do for your journey. So I hope this episode has been helpful for you in terms of marketing. I will provide the metadata template on my show notes. You can download that and use that when you are actually preparing your book for publication. And I wish you the best of luck with your marketing for your book.
Thank you for tuning in to Amra's Armchair Anecdotes. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and follow for more insights, stories and inspiration. From my armchair to yours, remember, every story begins with a single word.